travelers and tourists. My name is Mark, and I am the local disaster tour guide. That's right, I am a storyteller who promises I will not interrupt today's video for a random sponsor segment because I'm the kind of storyteller who's just given the sponsor the whole video today. Welcome to a journey through the fantastic world of TTRPGs like Pathfinder and Starfinder, and welcome to a special episode where I'm going to be interviewing a third-party content creator who has a Kickstarter live right now where he is hoping to put some content out for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. I have been talking about this content creator all month, and hopefully you all have had a chance to check out a little bit of his work. But today he has agreed to come on and share some of what he has been doing and what his goals and vision for this product is. So let's go ahead and introduce today's guest. Uh, can you introduce yourself and tell us who you are?
Hi, my name is Joshua Birdsong. Maybe better known as Improphet. And yeah, I'm a third-party writer for Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and I also create daily public homebrew for everyone in the Pathfinder community.
So I have seen a lot of your homebrew floating around for a while now, and I think it was a few months ago you shared with me you were moving towards doing a Kickstarter. I was pretty excited to hear that. Um, I will just say I enjoy a lot of your creative. Uh, you find the interesting niches in the rules that are still waiting to be filled, and I have seen a lot of stuff where. Improphet comes onto my Discord and frequently posts his content. And there have been several occasions where I'm probably going to get in trouble at work because I'll be laughing out loud at something like I think you had a Medusa head as one of your objects or something here recently, and I have to not get caught by my boss when I'm on my phone, that kind of thing. But I've been following your work for a while now, and you have a Kickstarter that is live for, I believe it's called Improphet's Tome.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Now, as I understand, and I will go ahead and say, yes, this is, I'm bringing my sponsor onto my channel, but just so you all know, very genuinely, I am a backer for this Kickstarter. I can genuinely say I am behind this product. I want to see it come out. My question for you is, how did you get started writing homebrew or third party content? What kind of got you going in this direction?
Yeah. So when I first found Pathfinder 2nd Edition, I was playing Dungeons and Dragons 5th Edition. It was a great game, but I've been playing it for about 5 or 6 years at that point, and I was like heavily in delve with all the rules and mechanics of it for various reasons of stuff that I did. And I was getting a little bit tired of that game, and I was like, I need to play something else, or
Mm-hmm.
my head is going to explode. And I found Pathfinder 2nd Edition. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I'm looking for. I can make so many cool things in this game. And then I was like, okay, let's see what else there's. And I started looking for Pathfinder 2nd Edition homebrew, and having come out of the 5th edition community where you can type in anything in homebrew and 5,000 options will appear for you of people who've done it before. Uh, there wasn't that much stuff out there, and I was like, well, I gotta fix this.
Mm-hmm.
So I started a little project where I was like, we have all these cool weapons. Why not make a specific magic weapon for every kind of weapon type in the game? And if you don't know, Paizo is a absolute crazy person with the kind of amount of weapons that they make. I think there's like 100 and something unique weapon types, and at the time, I think there were 83 unique weapon types that do not have a unique weapon, a magical weapon associated with it. So I was like, that's my first project right there. I'm gonna make 83 weapons. And I just once I finished that, I found more stuff that I wanted to make, and it just kept going, and
Mm-hmm.
it's become a fun little routine, and I get to give back to the community a little bit. I get to play this awesome game. It was a great way to learn the game
Mm-hmm.
by making content, giving out to the internet, and telling me how bad all my content was and what I needed to do to fix it. Especially when you're first getting started, it's very helpful, to be honest, because I learned a lot.
Mm-hmm. So, I guess, or one of the questions I had, and I think I may have heard my answer, is this the first game that you've written homebrew for?
It is not, my friend.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, back in my fifth edition days, I was a bit of a really like low tier third party content creator. I had done a couple Fiverr projects, but more than that, I was actually the rules moderator for a 5e West Run server of about 200 active players.
Okay,
So
awesome.
yeah, I had to constantly moderate rules. I was the one in charge of approving homebrew items that got submitted into the game by the uh, dungeon masters, and the hardest job of all was finding a way to balance Unearthed Arcana that was released by Wizards of the Coast.
I do not
uh,
play a lot of 5e, but
yes,
I've heard the stories.
yes, that was a fun thing. It turns out random GM submitted items were easier to balance than official Wizards of the Coast Unearthed Arcana.
Oh man. So I guess, how did you get started on just homebrewing and putting content out in general? What was your first steps as a content creator?
Yeah. I'd say one of like the big first steps was uh was the just finding Archives and Ethos, because
Hmm.
when I saw that coming from fifth edition, and I was like, oh my gosh, they're just giving this all for free. I don't have to find some sketchy website that has all the rules on it for me. Um, and
Hmm.
I was like, this is like so amazing and awesome that they're just like releasing all of this content for free for us to play the game and find it and access it easy. And I was so inspired at that. I was like, I want to also be this kind of person with the
Hmm.
products that I make. I don't want to put all of my stuff behind a paywall just for you to know the product that you're spending money on.
Hmm.
Um, and that's why I try to release as much stuff as I can for free as possible. And that's what I wanted to do with all of my content that I can. Obviously, there when I'm working for other people, there are legal things that I cannot
Hmm.
disclose. But wherever I'm making content for myself, I want it to be open
Hmm.
and available for everyone to see and access.
I would agree with that. I've been gaming for a long time, but Pathfinder 2e is the first system where I've really felt confident enough where I can put stuff out to the community. And I haven't done anything on the scale that you have, but when they did the RPG Superstar competitions the last couple of
Mm.
years,
Yeah,
you Paizo puts the tools out to make monsters for free, and they give these resources where you can go out and be creative and give stuff to the community, and that's really cool. I love seeing that from a game company. So,
it's amazing. It's awesome. I have not won one of those yet, but you have. That's amazing. Creature making is not my forte, but that's okay. There's no creatures in my book.
I can solidly say that for the creatures I've made that have won,
Mhm.
basically, if my players are terrified of it, it's good enough to try in that competition. There are lots of things that I've tried on my players, and they've been like, "No, that's lame," and so it doesn't show up. But if my players like it, I'm like, "Okay, maybe I can put this out there."
I've used your creatures in my game. They are terrifying.
So, uh, when did you first kind of get the inspiration to bring a book together? Like I know you started out with the weapons, but
Mhm.
at what point did you think, "Hey, I can turn this into a real product"?
Oh wow, yeah. Not early on in the process at all. I would say it took me like at least like 6 months into it, where people started asking me to start consolidating this, and I was like, "Oh, that seems like a lot of work."
Hmm.
And then I started like throwing around the idea, and a couple more people asked me if I'm making a book, and then I was like, "Oh, maybe I'll do
Hmm.
something." And I started looking into it a little bit, and then I met some friends in the community who also made books, like the Botanical Beastery.
Hmm.
That's also one of the moderators of the Pathfinder 2e creations where I post daily, and
Hmm.
I've been talking with them, and of course I've been I working in Sinclair's, and I'm getting some
Hmm.
support from them too as like mentorship from the no nat community as well.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's all been kind of working out together and coming together in a slow but steady process where I feel like confident, and I'm learning the tools I need to create this. I've been doing a lot of like I've learned what is it? Is it Adobe or is it Affinity Publisher?
Mm-hmm.
I learned how to do Affinity Publisher so I could put it together myself. I'm trying to like lower the barrier for this as much as possible because this is I have mentors, but it is a one man project at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day. Um, but that's a little bit great because like it also means that I can the margins are lower. I don't have to
Mm-hmm.
charge as much to make this book a reality because I don't have to worry about paying making sure a bunch of other people are also getting fairly compensated for the book.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the biggest barrier of entry for the Kickstarter is because I want to fairly compensate artists who are going to be
Mm-hmm.
making art for the book, and I want to make sure there's high quality art and there's a good amount of it, so it looks like a high quality book that you're paying for a high quality product.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the Kickstarter is ultimately for. It's the book's already written. It's just a matter of getting the art in there and hiring. I'd probably hire an editor to give it another pass
Mm-hmm.
just to be sure.
I had a question. My brain got lost in just so many different parts of that story. I will say, as a content creator, uh, I was feeling you on the you have to learn so many new tools and so many new skills. Um,
Yep.
it would probably be embarrassing to describe how bad I was with computers when I started my channel. I leave the videos up so people can have some comedy gold if they want to dig. But it is when you get started in any kind of content creation, there's new skills to learn and new things to figure out, and it does start out as you're kind of working on your own, but then I enjoyed hearing the people come to you and say, hey, is this going to be a book, or hey, can you consolidate this? And I think that is a good description of at least the experience I've had with the Pathfinder community of people will reach out to you and say, hey, we want to see this, or are you doing that? And it has been a very positive experience for me as a content creator. And it doesn't surprise me you've had the same experience. So,
Yeah.
um, my next question, I finally remembered it. Stalling tactics, important on YouTube. My next question is, what has been the easiest part of creating this book, and what has been the most difficult part of creating this book?
Oh, huh. I would say the most difficult part for me, for sure, is the social media aspect of it and the marketing,
Mm-hmm.
which is definitely not a strong suit of mine. If you go to any of my social media pages at all you will see is my daily homebrew posts. I don't
Mm-hmm.
really interact with social media in any kind of way that affects my life other than the
Mm-hmm.
posting it daily kind of aspect of it. And I kind of do that for like I don't want to be inundated with the constant feed of social media presence in my
Mm-hmm.
life. And putting myself out there to market my own product is very it's very a hard thing to do because
Mm-hmm.
it's like, hey, please buy my book. It's a hard thing to just ask someone to
Mm-hmm.
do, but it's like I do believe that I am making a quality product that I think Pathfinder
Mm-hmm.
2 players will enjoy, and
Mm-hmm.
I do want to get the word out there, but it's hard to do that in a way that doesn't feel like I'm
Mm-hmm.
begging for money, which is not the intention at all. I
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's been the biggest challenge for me, the biggest hurdle for me to try to get over that, put myself out
Mm-hmm.
there in that way. And then the easiest part is I don't know, making the content. The content I've just been if you do something every day for 2 years, it gets a little bit
Mm-hmm.
easier over time. It definitely was hard at first, but making the content is just something that's like such a part of my routine now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit relaxing. It's a little bit fun. I get to sit down and be creative whenever I go down and do it, and
Mm-hmm.
I love that part. I also really love responding to feedback and
Mm-hmm.
getting feedback and having discussions with people about it. Like some like even if it's something simple like if you're willing to have a back and forth with it, that's always the best kind of feedback. Even if you're like, this is completely broken, I'll be like, well, why do you think it's broken? And we can start breaking down the factors of it, so I can learn how to make it better, or see what the issue lies. Maybe it's like things can be tweaked equally in different directions to make it not any stronger or weaker, but maybe fixed in the correct direction or oriented in a way that makes it read in a way that doesn't that's more clear. Maybe it's just unclear in the text. And it's always fun trying to break down that. It's like a fun little puzzle, like a challenge.
And I would say to anyone who is watching this video, something that Joshua just shared is probably one of the great secrets of being a content creator, YouTube, writer, whatever it may be. If you can get in that routine, it is amazing how things begin to flow. Finding that time, finding that space, and saying, this is part of who I am. When you can get that established, it does. It makes things a lot easier. And just free advice to anybody watching, if you feel creative, that's a good place to start. Just get the routine going. So I guess we've been dodging the main topic too long, so let's get to the fun stuff. Let's talk about Improphet's Tome. Can you tell us a little bit of what to expect, and maybe give us some teasers of some of the fun things we might find inside?
It's a great. I wish I if I was not the one who wrote this book, I would want this book. This is kind of like, think of the advanced player's guide, and then like triple the size of it. I think it's just a book chocked full of player options for character creation and customization. It has hundreds of feats, so many spells, so many character options. It is about sitting at about, I think, 112 pages right now of just pages. There's no art in there yet. Um, and it is chock full of just crunchy goodness. Well, uh it is exactly the kind of book I know I would want as a
Mm-hmm.
consumer, and that's the kind of book I wanted to make. It's a book full of character options.
So, what is your favorite class to write for, and why?
uh, Probably a barbarian. I love the barbarian so much, and I did myself a disservice by doing it first. And I was like, I want to do barbarian, and I did a barbarian, and I was like, oh man, now I gotta do all the other classes, which was also a great joy and fun, and
Mm-hmm.
they were all challenging in different ways. But I love the barbarian, and I think I made like more barbarian subclasses than any other
Mm-hmm.
subclasses. Because I love barbarians so much. I love the the aspect that the role they play in Pathfinder a little bit more than the role they play in fifth edition. In fifth
Mm-hmm.
edition, they're just like big meat shields that can like
Mm-hmm.
take infinite damage and never go down. But in Pathfinder, they're like glass cannons of ultimate destruction.
Mm-hmm. I really appreciate the barbarian in Pathfinder 2e. It is one of
Hmm.
my favorite classes, and of the various TTRPGs I can play, I really do think barbarian is one of the exemplars of 2e. Like it's really a game where their take on the barbarian sets itself apart, and like I enjoyed getting to add some of your content to my barbarian video earlier this month, because like the content you did highlighted how Paizo made that class so interesting, where it's not just a big pile of hit points, but
Yeah.
like it has options and different stories and different ways you can flavor it that are meaningful and entertaining, and like you can get some real character out of it. So
Oh yeah. I love barbarians. Oh man, I could talk about them all day. But it was a great challenge, and barbarians actually, I have a theory about the trinity of martial classes in Pathfinder, with like the three primary martial classes, with like the champion, the fighter, and the barbarian, where it's
mm-hmm,
the fighter is the most accurate,
mm-hmm.
the champion is the most durable, and then the barbarian deals the most damage. And then that's how those are like the three balances. And then there's the monk somewhere out there. We're in the corner. He's like, I do all of these things.
My wife is a huge fan of the 2E Barbarian as well,
Mhm.
and I haven't shown her your content yet, but I feel like as soon as she catches wind of it, she's going to be asking to roll up a couple of them. So, uh,
Yeah.
the Giant Instinct Barbarian has shown up at several of my games, and relative to how long 2E's been on the field, I have seen a lot of barbarians.
Oh yeah, the Giant Barbarian is probably my favorite one because
Hmm.
for the longest time, the whole 6 years I was playing fifth edition, the one thing I wanted to do, I could never do in fifth edition because it's too heavily punished, and that is
Hmm.
playing a really small character with a really big weapon.
Hmm. So, I guess to give kind of the reverse of that question, what class do you find the most challenging to write for, and why?
Yes. I'm going to give a couple different answers because they're
Mhm.
challenging for very different reasons. I'm going to
Okay.
say the first one I'm going to say is the swashbuckler.
Okay.
And the swashbuckler is really challenging because their entire each one of the subclasses for a swashbuckler is built around a skill action.
Hmm.
And the and Paizo kind of covered all the major skill actions with the already existing swashbucklers.
That's fair.
So I had to get creative with the ones that I made, and I think I made one around trick magic item, which I haven't done yet.
Ooh.
Which was they're like a magical trickster, they're cheating magical systems to gain their panache. And then the other one I did was a little bit more abstract. This one is about setting up plans, and it mostly functions around snares, but also other environmental hazards. By getting
Okay.
opponents the trigger traps or environmental hazards, they can gain panache that way by setting up like domino events.
Nice.
um,
I hadn't seen any of the swashbuckler stuff, so I might be digging through your posts later. So,
oh,
uh,
there's a lot of it. I don't expect any one person to have read it all. This so much content.
mhm. uh,
And then the other one I want to say is exceptionally challenging, and this is for a completely different reason, and that's going to be the cleric. And the
okay.
cleric is challenging because we have so few examples written by Paizo about how to make
Hmm.
a cleric subclass. We only have the two, and they're completely different.
Hmm.
And so, like making more of them, it's like, well, you kind of have to kind of dip your toes into the pool of ambiguity with like
Hmm.
I can't pull up perfect examples to justify all the choices I'm making. I'm just gonna have to kind of go a little bit on instinct here, and that's where community feedback is the most helpful.
Hmm. Speaking of community feedback, how has that process been? Because I know that's a big part of what you've done with this. What has it been like to put your content out and to hear what the community thinks of it?
Yeah, it has been like a really fulfilling experience,
Hmm.
and just like any other social media where you're putting out content, there are gonna be outliers
Hmm.
of people who just like really don't like you or the stuff that you make. But as long as you can like kind of find the gems within the noise, it's so helpful. And I post my stuff daily on in about three different spots every day, and then about I think seven different spots every week with the collections.
Hmm.
And I really love the feedback I get. And I love interacting with people who give feedback, and it's always like the thing I like that's the scariest is when I post something out there and absolutely no one responds to any of it. I'm like, this is either perfect or no one's reading it, and I don't know which one it is.
To everyone watching this video, you know when I say please comment, that's because I want to know how it went.
Something either gone really wrong, or it's just like extraordinarily boring and not interesting or worth talking about, or it's perfect, but
Hmm.
I don't know which one of those three things it is.
Oh. Um, have you ever been surprised by a reaction to something? Like maybe you put something out and you thought it was average or okay, and people really loved it. Or has there ever been a moment where the reaction you got came as a surprise to you?
Yes. And this comes as one of the because I know I'm posting my things publicly, I can sometimes strategically make certain choices in a way where it's like I'm going to post this, and I know that this is too strong. Let's
Mhm.
see how the community thinks it should be toned down. and let's see what parts of it we can keep, what parts of it they dislike, or maybe that they like this is actually fine. So sometimes I posted one thing where I thought this was going to be like this is pushing it, this is insane. I posted it, and then they're like, you're crazy. This is broken for a completely different reason than the reason I thought it was going to be busted. And I was like, oh wow, time to go completely back to the drawing board and redo this whole process. But it's always a I really don't know what to expect when I'm posting something. I'm posting like this is like honestly this is pretty weak. I don't think anyone will actually pick this feat. And then I'm posting like this is too strong. And it's like yeah, but would you pick this feat? It's like no, this other feat at the same level is stronger, so I wouldn't pick this one. But I was like, then is it too strong then? I was like, yeah, it's too strong. And I was like, it's always a fun experience. Seeing like those different points of views where something can be like completely untakeable, but also too powerful. And I was like, I don't know what to do with this, but I will work on it.
So we talked a little bit about some of the class stuff that you've done, but I know that this book has other content like items and spells.
Yes.
Do you have a particularly favorite spell or item from this that you'd like to spoil or share or what have you?
I do have a favorite spell that I've made. And it's a very simple one, but I love it so much. It's a cantrip. It's called Conjure Fist, and you just conjure a little fist to punch someone. It's great. It's great. There's also another. I really like conjuration spells, and you're another one of my favorite spells is I think it's called like Conjure Chair, and you just make a little invisible chair that you can sit down on. It's
I could see the utility in that cantrip.
yes.
It may not be the most powerful, but if
No.
I could use it, I would.
I mean, this is the spell for like the most haughty wizard of all time. He's like, oh, I cannot be bothered to even stand up, and they're just sitting down in combat the whole time. It's like I always just need to. I'm not gonna stand up. I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna sling a fireball over there. Oh my gosh, it's such a waste of my time. Checking themselves in a mirror with one hand, casting spells with the other, sitting down on their conjured chair. It's great.
Years ago, I ran an Avatar: The Last Airbender game, and one of the Earthbenders in the party, if they got bored, would just conjure a stone chair to sit in while they made the rest of the party go and do stuff. So I can appreciate exactly
Yes.
how useful that spell is.
Not everything needs to be the most powerful spell. Sometimes you just want something there for fun. And cantrips is a great place to do that.
Okay, so the next thing that I've got to talk about, and this is something that I've mentioned a few times in the sponsor segments for you, but to be honest, I have no idea what you're about to share with me because all I know is the teaser line. You have given your own take on the Warlock for Pathfinder Second Edition. So
That is a true statement. Yes.
tell me about that.
Yes. The Warlock is, I think, it's going to be a very fun time. It is a bounded occult prepared caster, so that already means a lot of things. It's going to get a maximum of 4 spell slots.
Okay.
Asterisks. This Warlock's going to have ways to cheat things, which is like the best kind of Warlock you can have. So Warlocks will of course deal with pact magic, making some kind of deal, and this is I think different from the Witch, who has this kind of like ambiguous, mysterious figure almost sponsoring them. This is like you signed and dotted the line on the contract. You know what's hanging above your head at all times, and you're constantly either fighting to like fulfill your deal or to get out of it somehow. And yeah, this is going to focus a lot around the cantrip Eldritch Blast, which is super well known with Warlocks, but it also has it's very own take. So I came from 5th edition, and the Warlock in 5th edition is renowned for being one of the most customizable classes in the entire game, because of all the different invocations you can take. And I was looking through it, and I was like, how can I kind of bring this into Pathfinder? I was like, well, Pathfinder already has feats for everything. They already have that built into the game. So how can I make the Warlock even more customizable? That add that aspect to it. And so invocations for my Warlock will be base proficiency invocations. So you can customize how your proficiencies will scale as you level up. Do you want to be a Warlock who will get stronger with weapon attacks?
Hmm.
Or do you want to be a warlock who has the most powerful armor? Or maybe you
Okay.
want a whole bunch of extra skills, proficiency, and skill feats. Or
Hmm.
maybe you just want to make up for the fact you're missing out on spell slots. So you're gonna trade those proficiencies instead to kind of gain back your spell slots a full
Hmm.
caster might have. So you kind
Okay.
of get kind of like a build your own caster class with the warlock.
That's interesting. Um, so I'm going to make an assumption here, and we'll see if I'm right or wrong. I'm
Hmm.
assuming that uh, the subclasses, if you will revolve around the pact that you have taken.
They will. I have 5 subclasses already built into it,
Okay.
and those are being scroll, 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 scroll. Here we go. I just want to make sure I get this right. It is the celestial, the fathomless, the fae, the fiend, and the undead.
Okay. Um, do you have a favorite from those five?
I really like packs with the fae.
Okay.
They are one of the most challenging to write with, or to
Hmm.
write for, but they're very rewarding. Because faes, uh, they're not after necessarily power or anything. They're just there to have a good time. They're there to
Hmm.
cause chaos, wreak havoc, and you're just along for this ride. You made some kind of deal with a fae, and oh goodness, do they want you to throw spaghetti around the room right now? So the Fae pack is all about tricks and deception and illusions and all sorts of other chaos that can be caused. And I think that they're just a good fun warlock. I think they're the most fun warlock to play. Celestial is if you want to be I think Celestial can have really two aspects to it, whereas you're a good guy who wants to
Hmm.
made a pack with a good thing to do good stuff, or you're a bad guy who got somehow forced into a pact with a good celestial, and now they're hovering over your head, making sure you're being a good boy. And if you
I'm
start being a bad boy, up you that's no more magic powers for you.
well, what's the sword from Jim Butcher's books? Because I'm getting that vibe really hard.
Oh jeez, I don't.
Sword of Damocles, I think. If I got that wrong, somebody tell
Yeah.
me in the comments.
Yeah, those are my two favorite ones is being a bad person with a good pact, a good patron, or just the Fey one to cause all sorts of chaos and have fun.
Awesome. All right. Well, that kind of covers all of the questions that I came in here with. But is there anything else you would like to share? Anything that we haven't talked about yet that just you know you think is fun or interesting about the project that you're putting together?
Um, hmm. I think we covered a lot about my book. I would like to talk a little bit about some of the other just like
Hmm.
fantastic people on the platform who I've had a pleasure of working with. Of
Okay.
course, everyone knows you. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment.
Thank you.
Um, I've also had like an amazing time working with I believe it's pronounced let me I'm gonna pull it up because I always get this one wrong. Orphane, which is the writer of Botanical Beasteries,
Hmm.
which is a fantastic product. I highly recommend it. I also work with Osiris, Eldritch Osiris Games. Nonat is just a wonderful person.
Hmm.
He is as likable as he is in his videos in real life. I have sat down and played board games with him, and he is delightful.
He is a
Um,
fantastic guy. He did
uh,
not pay me to say that, I swear.
Derek from Night to Last Call, a little bit rough around the edges, but once you get to know him, he's a nice guy.
Hmm.
But yeah, all these people, like the people from Deadly D8. Um, oh, I can't leave these guys out. Um, the hijinks community. Fantastic. Highly recommend them as well. And you guys know all these people. This is the Pathfinder hub. They're all fantastic. I've gotten a lot of chance to talk with a lot of them, and they're all fantastic, great people, and they're all supportive. And you should all go support all of the Pathfinder 2 content creators you find because they're all amazing.
All
And
right.
that is my spiel.
On behalf of the Pathfinder content creator universe, thank you. We could use the support. um, but speaking of support, if people would like to support Improphet's Tome, Where can they do that, and how can they do that?
Yes. Well, you can support my Kickstarter, which will I'm sure there'll be a link in the description below
Hmm.
that can get you to the Kickstarter, and you can support me monetarily there. If that's not available to you, that's all right. All the content in the book, say the Warlock, is available for free, which you can find by following me on either Twitter, which probably be the easiest way to find me, or the discords of some of the various other people who I follow, and they allow me to post in their comments. But mostly the Twitter area would be the most reliable place to get my daily content. Um, yeah, and that's where you can find me. I'm not a super active online social person, which I've talked
Hmm.
about here, but I will post daily every day, and I will respond to any comments left in those posts.
Okay. Well, I guess that kind of wraps us up for today. But to everyone who has stuck around to listen to this interview, thank you for being here. And definitely jump down into the comments section. If you have a particular thing that Improphet has created that is your favorite, leave that in the comments section so you can highlight some of the amazing work that he has done. And if you haven't had a chance to kick out, sorry. Thank you, editing magic. No one has to see that. If you haven't had a chance to check out the Kickstarter for Improphet's Tome that is live right now, there will be a link in the video description. Please go check that out. Support him however you can. And just be a part of helping to get the word out there. Third party content is very important to the lifeblood of gaming. And I love to see third party content done and done well. And so I'm excited for this product, and I know there's a lot of other people out there that are excited as well. So let's help make this happen. But Joshua, thank you so much for being here. And to everyone else who's been here, thank you for being here as well. And have a wonderful day.